Hey everybody, what's up everyone? Goodness everybody, goodness and good day. Goodness and good day, hello. This is the way we're going to play today. This is lesson 14, this is the 14th day in our 2025 year, and we are on course, of course, a course. This course is a course in what? Miracles. Miraculously, what this means is changing what something was made to mean for separation, actually. And I know embodiedly, it can be real cute, actually. And also, in some way, real cruel, too, I saw a real intense video of a baby elephant just yesterday who, their like, crew of elephants were running out of water, and the elephant was just really hungry, screaming for milk from all the lady elephants, and eventually they got tired of it and they actually kicked it over and stuff like this, and it was really cruel to see. So there is something I am not being, which is a liar in some way about what I know to be the way the world is. We could say, no, it's all cupcakes and ding-dongs and fairies and flower farts or something like that. But also, we know there is a bunch of stuff within the dimension of time that we live in, which is really cruel. And if it ain't that for you, then God bless you. That's real great. Some people, though, man, we could say if you were in their shoes, you would be exactly as they are. And if they were in yours, they'd be how you are. So, anyway, that's just a little bit of intellectual honesty. And the name of this lesson is God did not create a meaningless world. So some part of me wants to say does not. Presencing language, like in some way, I got a lot of friends who are Christian and they say Jesus said, and I'm like, says. Currently, that is the power of mythology to bring it into our current reality. We could put it in our history and we could have it be placed in Israel around the time that there would be these cultural things that we can understand about how shepherds are and stuff, but also too, in some way, the myth exists within our current speaking, within our current communication, and the power of He who is named Jesus or Yeshua or Christ or something like this. That force can speak into us this moment, actually, in some way, playfully. I know this is true. Actually, I was at this monastery once where everybody who joins for the purpose of forgiving the world, not of what it is, but of the meaning you've given it, to attempt to see beyond the story and to see underneath it there is one common interest, which is to see beyond separate interests and to attempt to have the meaningfully be like right there in your third middle eye of actuality, the one thing. Actually, yesterday's lesson, by the way, a meaningless world engenders fear. I thought about this. Engenders, right? Gender is like a split. In some way, we could say, like, I'm happy for this split. I can know that I play this way with romance and capacity to enjoy the wow man people and the men too. I do say this as a human, that I am not a homosexual, but I am gay, meaning I am in love with men. I love men. I fall in love with them. I love you dudes in many ways, many of you specifically. I'm not interested in any specific, usually I'm not interested in cuddling with men too much. Depends. But I'm definitely not interested in, exchanging sexual energy with men. And I do find myself wanting to do that with women embodiedly. Anyways, that's just an honest distinction. The word homosexuality has to do with sameness, having sex with one another, and gay has to do with being happy with my brothers, actually. Anyways, engendered, though, there is the war between the genders or something like this, or the war between the sexes. It's a common thing to speak about. And flipping that war around, we could say the raw, wonderful way, or the flipping the wrestle, we could say, into a dance in some way, actually. Hey, we're wrestling, this is a war. No, we're dancing. This is communication. This is a game. This is a play. This is like the itsy bitsy spider. The elder brother, the younger brother play in some way. They go up the water spout and they lead and follow and lead. Anyway, does not create. God does not create a meaningless world. It says here, did not create. In some way we could say this again relates a little bit to what it says about how everything we see is made of the past in some way. But anyway, let me say this preface again here too. I say this often, at the beginning of the introduction to the workbook, it says that we don't need to believe these things. In fact, we'll probably actively resist it, and that's okay. But that if we listen, if we practice, if we hear, if we remember and remind ourselves, it'll have an effect on us that'll be positive in some way. I'm reminded too today about the 10-day Vipassana retreat that I did, and the confusion of one of their principles for craving and aversion had me be in some way confused and unable to get in my experience of meditation. And I was like, wait, this whole process is actually an aversion process, an aversion to the process of what we call life, of birth and death, of up and down, of beginning and ending. And it was real disturbing to my meditation. I was like, but wait, this whole, why do we, like, but it was really confusing to me because I was also like, but why would I leave even? Like, what's that for? All that work and stuff. Everything seemed, and it kind of is ridiculous, able to be ridiculed, actually. Everything can be. In fact, it's not that hard to parse apart and to chop up what the world is for as a ridiculous thing. Work is just putting paper there, putting it here. Food is putting it here and pushing it out there. A lot of our relationships have to do with projection and psychological things that can be made fun of, and also that can be romanced and played with and made fun with. And that sounds fun, actually. There's so much nuance to our speaking in reality, and this is a message that we're just trying to try on a bit. And so I tried on that thing at the Vipassana. This basically it was disturbing my meditation in such a way that I just couldn't rest for I don't know how many sessions, maybe 4. I was like, what are we doing? Why am I doing this? And I kind of want to go home, but why would I go get away from here even? And it was what I would call something like hellish. And in my mind came the controversial teacher called Osho, whose voice I'd heard many times. And so I know what he would kind of say. And he said in my mind, he said it, I'll say it right now, real slow at first, just the first sentence, just so so you get a little taste of the way he speaks. He said, he came into my mind, and I thought that he was speaking to all of us in the meditation hall. And he said, you don't have to believe everything someone says just because they're at the front of their room. And then he said, even me. And I thought that we all laughed at that, which is a kind of a funny little mischievous type of thing that Osho would say. And then he goes, I'll not say it in slow-mo now. Then he goes, you also don't have to hate them or have a problem with them if you disagree. And he says, you can cause a disturbance. And I pictured myself standing up and saying, fuck this shit, I'm out of here, and stomping out and causing a disturbance. And he goes, what do you want? And I recognized, I was like, I just want peace, man. I couldn't find peace for like 4 sessions that are each an hour long, and it was just so disruptive. And then immediately, the minute I recognized what I wanted, it was like kaboom, like super beautiful, like amazing at peaceness, a full hour of absolute bliss, of an immersion into the kingdom within, the great rays of unstoppable light inside, or something like that. So anyways, I don't know if I believe in the frames of what that Vipassana is attempting to do is something about craving and aversion, avoiding. Anyways, I don't know if I believe in that, but I do know that I believe that the process leads to something. In fact, I really want to go back to Vipassana. I'd like to kind of disappear into there for a little while, for like a few months or something like that. Anyways, let's go on. Let's read this course. God did not create a meaningless world. And as I say, I like to say does not. Creatively, I create myself saying God does not create a meaningless world. Meaningfully, I create myself, meaning that God does not create a meaningless world. And in that, I actually find I can feel the light, like behind, like does not create a meaningless world, but I do. I, you, me, we. And we is me flipped upside down in some way with a double U. That is together a holy relationship. Every encounter is a holy encounter. It is an opportunity to see your brother as you see yourself. Something like this. There's things in the Course in Miracles that talk about this. Double U, two U's put together. That is we, actually. And using what we think of as relationship for a holy purpose. Like I said, the itsy bitsy spider, big brother, little brother, up the water spout, flipping big brother right here, little brother right here. And then it flips and it's like, oh, who was the bigger brother is now the younger brother. And we get to climb up the water spout using hierarchy to undo hierarchy in some way, to see the beautiful sameness and to get to use who we think of as what we are is as this is Joey and you are whoever you are, name as a name, the name of your character, girl or boy, using us to see the we that I am is. Actually, okay, so paragraph number 1, the idea for today is, of course, the reason why a meaningless world is impossible, because God did not create a meaningless world. What happened in the past didn't ever happen, actually, did not. The only thing does happen is meaningfulness, meaningfully, actually, in the holy instant immersion, taking off the world of strategy, time, and accumulation. We can see that what God did not create does not exist. And everything that does exist exists as he creates it. It says created, but I'm presencing this language. Creating myself, creating it presently. And everything that does exists as God creates it. The world you see has nothing to do with reality. It is of your making, not creation, and it does not exist. It is a hallucination. Paragraph number 2, the exercises for today are to be practiced with eyes closed throughout. The mind-searching period should be short, a minute at most. Do not have more than 3 practice periods with today's idea unless you find them comfortable. If you do, it will be because you really understand what they are for. The way you'll find this comfortable is because you understand what they are for, what these practice lessons are for. The idea for today is another step in learning to let go the thoughts that you have written in the world, on the world, and to see the Word of God in their place. The early steps in this exchange, which can truly be called salvation, can be quite difficult and even quite painful. The early steps in this exchange, the exchange of what you have written on the world for the Word of God in their place, can truly be called salvation and can be quite difficult and even quite painful. This is like letting go of what we think is valuable for what we know is truly valuable. It can be like prying candy out of a kid's hand or something like that. Or like detoxing from something we're addicted to, obviously. Some of them will lead you directly into fear. You will not be left there. Ooh, how assuring. You will go far beyond it. Our direction is toward perfect safety and toward perfect peace. Paragraph number 4. With eyes closed, think of all the horrors in the world that cross your mind. Name each one as it occurs to you, and then deny its reality. God did not create it. God does not create that, and so it is not real. Say, for example, God did not create that war. God does not create war. Creativity creates creatively, not destruction. Doesn't create this, actually. 1 second. And so it is not real. God did not create that airplane crash, and so it is not real. God does not create that disaster, and so it is not real. ooh, this is difficult. I could see, hey, I could sense lots of resistance in me. Probably the people hearing this too, actually, which, feel free to expose those and share. The Course in Miracles says that technically what we're doing is exposing things that disagree with truth, and then and we may call it sharing, but what sharing truly is sharing truth, actually. And truth is wholly, fully true, and when we give it, we receive it, actually. Paragraph number 5. Suitable subjects for the application of today's idea also include anything you are afraid might happen to you, or to anyone about whom you are concerned. In each case, name the, quote, disaster quite specifically. Do not use general terms. For example, do not say, God did not create illness, but God did not create cancer or heart attacks or whatever may arouse fear in you. And this is super challenging. Paragraph number 6. This is your personal repertory of horrors at which you are looking. These things are part of the world you see. Some of them are shared illusions, and others are part of your personal hell. It does not matter. What God did not create can only be in your mind, apart from His. Therefore, it has no meaning. It is meaningless meaning. In recognition of this fact, conclude the practice periods by repeating today's idea. God did not create a meaningless world. God does not create a meaningless world. There's parts of the text that would be really helpful for us to have read before we have done this lesson, I'm noticing. And there's future lessons about feeling that we need to connect to something that isn't here, that we can't connect with in order to feel better. And that in order for me to feel connected to myself, something outside of me needs to change, and that thing won't change. Therefore, I can't feel connected to myself, is a conclusion that the ego makes up, cleverly attempting to keep the feeling of division within itself as itself. Paragraph number 7. The idea for today can, of course, be applied to anything that disturbs you during the day. Aside from the practice periods, be very specific applying it. Say, God did not create a meaningless world. He did not specify the situation which is disturbing you, and so it is not real. All right, everybody. All the people who think of themselves as people, as bodies, as persons, as masks, as stories, as faces, as books, as histories, as herstories, mythically, practicing in the practical world, practically speaking, with our practice character, to practice being a symbolic representative of the place and the space within, that is the kingdom, that is unstoppable bright light, that with nothing in sight and everything shared. Take care.